Hey everybody, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to take a look at a dexterity game. This is one that was run in a Kickstarter actually several years ago, and there was quite a bit of controversy over the Kickstarter. I'm not going to cover that. You can check it all out online if you'd like. We're going to talk about Knockdown Barns, which is a game that comes in like these burlap type sacks. It's consisted of wood blocks and a couple of wood stands that you're going to play with these wood blocks on, and then some foam, I guess they're foam, little marshmallows that you're going to be flicking back and forth in order to try and knock down your opponent's barn and clear their play area. So real quick, we'll take a look at what you get inside of this box. We'll see how the game plays, then we'll come back at the end and we'll get my opinions on Knockdown Barns. So here you can see the components for Knockdown Barns. Now what we're looking at is each player has 25 of these hardwood kind of blocks. Each one of them is branded with the Knockdown Barns logo. They come with 2 extra blocks, which I've removed. These are placed on top of a bamboo playing area. So this is a piece of bamboo or several pieces of bamboo affixed together with a shooting line, the lighter colored bamboo, from where players will be shooting their foam weapons, which are these little marshmallows. Each player is going to have an unlimited amount of these foam marshmallows basically to flick at their other player's structure in order to try and break it down into rubble and eventually clear the board. We also have 2 little standees for holding the divider that you'll be placing while you're building your structures. And then the board here itself is raised off of the play area by a couple of the marshmallows that are being used as legs. Finally, we have a wooden divider. This is only used for the very beginning of the game, during which we'll be setting up our play area. So each player will have their own play area. This will slide down into the little leg holders there, go across the center of the board, and each player from this point must build a barn out of all 25 of their cubes. The building rules are basically pretty straightforward. All of your blocks must be touching, and at least one of your blocks has to come above the center or above the top portion of this divider. So you'll have to be able to see at least one brick sticking over the top by the time you're finished building. Each player will build simultaneously, and the first one done building will be able to shoot first, whereas the other one has an unlimited amount of time in order to finish building their structure. So real quick, Andrea and I are going to build structures, and then we'll show you how the game is played. So here you can see our completed structures with Andrea's on my left and mine on my right. And once we were done, Andrea finished first, which means she'll get to shoot first, but cannot adjust her structure at all. And I get to finish building my structure as we continue on. So I'm going to remove our center divider here, and you can see each of our structures now set up. Now, we are allowed to utilize this entire area, and the only rules, as I said, is that at least one brick must be higher than the dividing board, and all of our bricks must be touching. You'll see that my structure is a little bit more spread out. I have a brick, it might be hard to see, but it's just barely touching my structure, but this could be a strategic move in order to try and launch that brick at Andrea using my foam weapons. Now, from this point on, the game becomes a dexterity game. So we've done our building, and now we're going to be launching the little foam marshmallows in order to try and hit each other's structures. So for example, if I were Andrea, I might come over here and place my marshmallow, and the only rule is that I need to be behind this line with at least a portion of that marshmallow. I can set it up or tilt it however I'd like, and I can try and arrange it so that I hit my opponent's structure. Of course, I missed, and I hit my own structure in that case if I were Andrea, but the idea is to try and do damage to your opponent's structure by flicking the marshmallows and hitting their structure much like this. So you'll see that I toppled the beginning portion of Andrea's structure. One of the bricks came off of the mat, which is the objective here, and the other brick landed partially on my side. This now counts as mine and Andrea's blocks, and she would again shoot from her side. Now the objective here is not just to knock down your opponent's structure. You're trying to completely clear their side of the board, which includes neutral blocks that are over the line. The shooting rules will change as the game goes on. As you topple your opponent's structure, you'll see that there are different types of orientation blocks can be in. A block that is completely on the ground is considered a piece of rubble. So for example, this one right here is a piece of rubble. It's flat on the ground. That would mean that the large play area of the block, the largest surface of the block, is flat on the ground, and it's touching this board. Anything that is standing on an edge, either the long edge or the short edge, is considered a wall. Now this wall is still touching the ground, but it can support what is called a roof, which would be any piece that is on top of this piece that's standing on the edge. So a piece that's standing on an edge with a brick on top of it in any orientation, this brick is considered a roof. So as long as your opponent's structure has roofs, you must shoot behind this line. As soon as they don't have any roofs, maybe they only have walls left. For example, this is a wall because it's a brick and another brick that's not touching the ground at all. If there's walls and only walls, so let's knock this structure down here for quite a ways. Let's say that it looks something like this. Now there are no more roofs. There's only walls. And so now this player could shoot from anywhere on their own half of the board. However, there are still some walls here that are not touching the board entirely. As soon as this is no longer the case, let's say that these pieces now touch the board, you can shoot from anywhere on the board. So it makes it easier and easier to clear your opponent's pieces off by getting closer and closer to them and then knocking them off of the board with your marshmallows. Another couple strategies that you can apply, is that if you have a piece that's all the way back here, you can launch that piece using one of your marshmallows to try and knock your opponent's pieces off. That's the basis of the game. You're flicking the marshmallows, trying to knock over your opponent's tower, and then clear their board of all of the pieces, and the first player to successfully do this will win Knockdown Barns. Well, there you have it. That is Knockdown Barns. Now, the game itself is really fun. Very, very fun. I'm not sure there's a lot of game to it, but that's not really a problem. It's a dexterity game, so you're going to spend your time setting up your blocks. You're going to race with your opponent to try and make a better structure than they've made, and hopefully you're going to be more accurate with those little marshmallows than they are. There's been some controversy as to whether or not the game is dangerous, because the blocks can theoretically fly and maybe hit you in the eye or hit you somewhere where it might hurt you. I don't think that that's really an issue. Those little foam marshmallows might hit you in the face, but they're not going to cause any damage. And the bricks aren't going to be propelled upwards by those marshmallows. There is just no way that you can hit a brick hard enough with that marshmallow to make it fly off of the table and hit somebody in the face. Potential downsides to the game for people who don't want to get up and move around at all. The bricks do have a tendency to fly off of the table when you're playing. That's just something that's going to happen. Bricks will go onto the floor, you'll have to pick them up, and even more so, the marshmallows will fly across the room and you will chase after them. Now, there are enough of them provided with the game that this is not really a problem where you would have to go and regularly pick up marshmallows or bricks. You really don't need the bricks again until the end of the game. And there's a lot of marshmallows in the game, so you could flick for quite a while before you needed to go pick them up. But eventually you are going to have to walk around the room and clean up things, and you are going to have to pick things up off the floor. So if you have a lot of other people in your play area, you may not want to play this game as you're just going to be disrupting them all the time as you're flicking things around the room. But it's very, very fun. I enjoy it quite a bit. There is a scoring system you can use for ending one round of the game and counting up how many bricks you have left on your stand versus your opponent's who should be cleared, and then start another round and play to a certain amount of points. But overall, just a very fun, simple, easy to play game made out of some nice wooden components, and one that I think a lot of dexterity players will enjoy.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.